Years as a registered nurse, Polly became a Reiki master and has a small private practice. She began studying Zen meditation with Sister Barbara Craig, founding teacher of Flowing River Sangha, in 2009. She received Dharma transmission from Barbara in 2018. As part of Flowing River Sangha outreach, we meditate with the women at Ruth's Place and with the Sisters of Mercy at Mercy Center. She has been a Mercy Associate for about 10 years. She's blessed to have 2 amazing children and 7 grandchildren, one of whom is here today with us, and she enjoys supporting them in their sporting and school events. For fun, she loves movies, books, and experiencing the beauty of nature. She's also my teacher, and I'm very, very grateful to have her here today. She will be speaking on Dana Paramita, giving from the heart. We will follow the sermon with a moment of silence for those who wish to reflect.
Good morning again. Thank you for the beautiful music. Before we get started, I'd like you to bring your attention here into this space. I want you to use your senses. Be mindful of your feet on the floor. Feel your back resting against the chair. What do you hear? Sometimes you can hear in this room, sometimes you can hear the heat when it comes on and off. We could hear that beautiful music. What do you smell? I smelled coffee before. And you can smell the candle wax. Now I want you to let go of what you did before you came here. And I don't want you to think about what you're going to do when you leave. Just be here right now. Sit comfortably and bring your attention to your body. And find an area that has tension and release that tension. For me, it's my neck and shoulders usually. Just let that tension go. And bring the focus of your attention to your breath. When you find that you're distracted, come back to your breath. Always come back to your breath. Thank you. Several years ago, I bought this painting. It's done by Sensei Amy Yee. The calligraphy was done by Father Robert Kennedy Roshi. It's entitled Ask for Nothing. Under the joyful panda is a quote by Lao Tzu that says, "Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize that nothing is lacking, the whole world belongs to you." End quote. I'm sure that this painting reminds you of somebody that you know. Somebody that is content with what they have and seems to lack nothing, even though their bank account may be on the meager side. Often, those same folks are very generous. The founding teacher of Flowing River Sangha, Sister Barbara Craig, was one of those people. On occasion, she and her housemate, Sister Constance Kozel, would receive delicious baked goods. Once it was a Christmas stolen. they'd enjoy a bit of it, and then they'd slice it up and share it with their neighbors and friends. It gave them great pleasure to do that. If Flowing River Sangha had $50 in the treasury, Barbara would discover somebody in need of $49, and it would go their way. Today, we're going to talk about Dana Paramita. Dana is a Pali word that means generosity or giving freely, and it has played a central role in Buddhism through the years. The Buddha taught that when we give to others, we should give without expectation of reward. We should give without attaching to either the gift or the recipient. We practice giving in order to release greed or self-clinging. In Buddhism, you'll find that there are lots of lists. One list is the list of perfections, which are thought of as strengths or virtues that can lead one to enlightenment. At the very top of that list, which includes wisdom, morality, patience, energy, and meditation, at the very top of that list is generosity. Theravadan monk and scholar Bhikkhu Bodhi says, quote, "The practice of giving is universally recognized as one of the most basic virtues, a quality that testifies to the depth of one's humanity and one's capacity for self-transcendence. In the teaching of the Buddha, the practice of giving claims a place of special eminence, one which singles it out as being, in a sense, the foundation and seed of spiritual development," end quote. Listen to this verse from the Iwataka, which is an anthology of ethical teachings of the Buddha. Quote, this is the Buddha speaking, "If beings knew, as I know, the results of giving and sharing, they would not eat without having given, nor would the stain of selfishness overcome their minds. Even if it were their last bite, their last mouthful, they would not eat without having shared." So dana means giving freely, giving more than is required. The Buddha said that the gift is dependent not on the amount given, but rather on the attitude with which it is given. According to the Buddha, dana is not meant to be obligatory or done reluctantly. Instead, dana should be performed when the giver is delighted before, during, and after the giving. Giving without expecting anything in return. Dana paramita, or giving freely, is not just a Buddhist principle. Listen to these few lines from the Prophet by Khalil Gibran, speaking as al-Mustafa in response to a question from the wealthy man who asks, "Speak to us of giving." Here's part of his response. "You give but little when you give from your possessions. There are those who give little of the much which they have, and they give it for recognition, and their hidden desire makes their gift unwholesome. Then there are those who have little and give it all. There are those who give with joy, and joy is their reward." One more quote. This one is from the Bible, Matthew chapter 6, verses 2-4. "So, when you give something to a needy person, do not make a big show of it, as the hypocrites do in the houses of worship and on the streets. They do it so that people will praise them. But when you help a needy person, do it in such a way that even your closest friend will not know about it. Sometimes you can offer money. Sometimes you don't have money, but you can give of yourself. You can give of your time. You can give of your love. You can offer a random act of kindness. It costs nothing. Something else to consider when thinking about Dana Paramita is that there is no giving without receiving, no givers without receivers. It's a paradox. Giving and receiving are a pair, as we say when we chant, like the foot before and the foot behind in walking, or two sides of the same coin. Therefore, giving and receiving, giver and receiver, are one. If we think of ourselves as givers and others as receivers, we're missing the point. We're creating duality. We're creating separation. Always remember the unity. Zen monk Shohaku Akarama wrote in his Zodo Zen journal that for a time he didn't want to get presents. He thought he should be giving and not receiving. Looking deeply into this statement, we realize we're just creating another matter, another standard to measure gaining and losing. When you practice true Dana Paramita, there's no gain and there's no loss. In Japan, monks carry out traditional alms begging. And when they do, they wear their robe, they carry a bowl. And also, they wear a huge straw hat to partially cover their face. The big hat also prevents them from seeing the face of whoever is giving them alms. No giver, no receiver. This is an example of perfect giving. Another example of perfect giving is when we give, and in doing so, we give without expectation of a reward from the recipient. That includes even a thank you. Did you ever give somebody something and they didn't thank you and you got annoyed? Yeah, well, try to get rid of that. That's not helpful. And also, we don't place conditions on the gift. Dana Paramita means perfection of generosity. A generous spirit is more than just giving to charity. It's the spirit of responding to the world and giving what is due and what is appropriate at that particular time. This practice helps tear down your ego walls while you're relieving the suffering in the world, and it also encourages us to be grateful for any generosity that's shown to us. Now, perhaps you're thinking, you know what, I'm just one person. What could I do? Well, to inspire you, might I suggest that you watch a 2-minute video on YouTube called I Will Be a Hummingbird, in which Nobel Peace Prize laureate Wangari Maathai recounts the fable of the hummingbird's response to a wildfire. For now, I'm going to share that fable with you, but if you have a chance, watch it on YouTube. It only takes 2 minutes, literally. So, far, far, far away from the Unitarian Universal Congregation of Wyoming Valley, there was a huge forest, thousands and thousands and thousands of acres, that was being consumed by a wildfire. Think back to last summer, when the smoke from the wildfires in Canada, hundreds of miles away, affected our area. Maybe you'd go out in the morning and your eyes would burn Or maybe if you were doing some physical work outside, your lungs let you know that it wasn't good air quality. Just think about that. And now imagine, seriously imagine the horror of being caught in a blazing forest fire. All the animals in the forest gathered to watch. They were overwhelmed and they felt powerless. Except for this one little hummingbird who said, "I'm going to do something about this fire." So she flies to a nearby stream and she picks up one drop of water and flies back and drops it on the fire. She goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth as fast as she can go. In the meantime, all the other animals, much bigger animals, animals like the elephant with a huge trunk who could carry a lot more water than that little hummingbird, well, they're just standing there, helpless. And they said to the hummingbird, "What do you think you can do? You're too little. This fire's too big. Your wings are too small. Your beak's so small you can only get a drop of water at a time." And even as they continue to discourage her, she turns to them without wasting any time and says, "I'm doing the best I can." I think that video teaches us to remember that little hummingbird. We may feel insignificant, but we never want to be complacent. We want to always do our part. We want to always hold up our piece of the sky. We can each make a difference. If we have financial means, you can donate money. If you don't have financial means, you can spare time. You can sit with the intention to give of yourself on a daily basis. I'm going to repeat a few of the lines that we read from the refuge prayer to open the service this morning. I vow to offer joy to one person in the morning and to help relieve the grief of one person in the afternoon. Just imagine if all the people in this room made that vow and kept it. And then imagine a bigger aspect of it. Imagine if all the people in the world made that vow and kept it. I remember hearing a story a few years ago that inspired me to try to remember that everyone can make a difference every day in the life of someone, perhaps even someone you don't even know. This is a true story. It took place in San Francisco. There was a 30-year-old man who was very despondent. He had had a rough childhood. Nothing was working out the way he planned. He woke up one morning and wrote the following note. I'm going to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge. If one person smiles at me, I won't jump. After they recovered his body, they found with this note with his belongings. A simple smile could have saved his life, and it would have cost nothing to give. The Bible says the generous themselves will be blessed. That's Proverbs 22:9. When we offer a sincere gift, or perhaps receive a gift, or even just observe a random act of kindness, it strengthens our connection to one another and helps to eliminate our sense of separation. Another true story. A young homeless woman at the shelter where we sit as part of Flowing River Sanga's outreach program, was visibly upset one day after our sitting. She'd recently moved to the shelter, and somewhere along the line, she lost one of her prized possessions, her grandma's rosary. She continued to say that she was pregnant, she didn't feel well, and she had no family nearby. She felt like nothing was going in a positive direction in her life since she lost the rosary. Later that same week, I was sharing this story with the Sisters of Mercy at Mercy Center following our sitting there. Sister Giuseppe, I wish you could meet her. She's 90 years old and she's about this big. Well, she looked at me and she said, "Don't go anywhere." You know how it is when a nun talks to you. You listen and you obey. So I stayed there. She said, "I'll be right back." She's one that still wears a habit. So she went out of the room that we were in with her little, I don't know what you call the piece that you put on your head, but with that flapping in the back. A few minutes later, she returned clutching a rosary that she had received from Fatima. She instructed me to give it to the homeless girl, and in addition, tell her that she was being prayed for. When I went to the shelter, she was out on an appointment, so I left it at the desk where the worker promised to make sure the young woman would receive it. The next time I saw that lady, she was full of joy. Physically, she felt better, and she had resumed a spiritual practice. She found out she was having twins. The beautiful gift of a rosary and prayers seems to have changed her life. Sometimes you just never know what a difference you can make by practicing Dana Paramita. As William James says, and he's no relative of mine, quote, "Act as if what you do makes a difference, because it does." Listen to this quote by Thich Nhat Hanh. "Waking up this morning, I smile. 24 hours are before me. I vow to live them fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion," end quote. And that's plenty of words for me today, but before I close, I'd like to leave you with the lyrics of a song by Jan Novatka. It's called "All I Do Today." May all I do today be for the healing of the whole. May all I do today mend our broken world. May all I do today bring blessings on the earth. May all I do today be for the good of all. All I do today.